Hey my friends, how are you doing? I'm sure you know by now, you probably heard that Donald J. Trump is making hundreds of millions of dollars and has only paid $750 in taxes. You might be thinking like, how's that even possible? How can a dude make hundreds of millions of dollars and not pay income tax? Well, it's really simple. And today on this video, I'm going to share with you how he does it and how many wealthy people do it, how most billionaires do this, and how you, more importantly, how you can do this, how you can limit how much money you pay in taxes. As you can tell, I am not in Idaho. I'll give you the little view of where I'm at. That is the Pacific Ocean behind me. I'm in La Jolla, California, and sitting down here on the rocks. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And what's ironic about this topic for today about how Trump has got away with making hundreds of millions of dollars and not paying taxes is I am in one of the highest tax states in the world, and 13.4% tax, which is, I believe it's the second highest in the United States, is not high enough, and they are most likely this will pass, but they're talking about raising California state income tax to 17.4%. Let that sink in. 17.4% state income tax in the Sunshine State. And it is sunny here today. So what does that mean for someone who lives in California? Well, right before, I'm staying in this condo right there in that building on the 16th floor. But when I was on my way down, TV was on, I think it was on MSNBC or something, and Amanda was watching it. And it popped up, the average American is at a 35.4% tax bracket. 35.4 tax bracket, the average American. Now, if you live in California and you add what is going to be the new tax bracket, 17.4 on top of that, that puts you at 52.8% tax. Let that sink in. 52.8. So if you make $100, almost $53 goes to tax. And what makes it even worse is you can't deduct the state income tax. And so you pay federal on top of that. Then add in your Social Security tax. Or if you're self-employed, your self-employment tax, which is roughly 9%. So if you're an employee, that puts you now at 62% tax. 62! Then add your gasoline tax, your property tax, your sales tax, your cell phone tax. All of these other taxes, you're hitting 70% of everything you make goes to the government. Why? So you can live here? Hell, you'd be better off to do what I did 8 years ago. I left California. I took the money I saved. I bought a beach house in Lake Tahoe. I bought an airplane with it, and I bought a Ferrari with just the money that I saved. And I had my house in Tahoe paid off in 6 years just from the savings, which then allowed me to come to California and stay anytime I want, and I don't have to pay the California bullshit tax. Now, how is this possible? How can Trump make hundreds of millions of dollars and not pay any tax? What did they say? He paid $750, right? Well, it's really not that difficult. See, this is a political thing. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to make the guy look bad. But here's the honest truth. 45% of Americans don't pay any income tax at all. 45% of Americans don't pay income tax at all. That means the remaining 55% of you out there are paying the taxes for everybody else. So for you that are not paying it, I'd like to say what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to. Warren Buffett said it best. And Warren Buffett, by the way, is one of the most liberal billionaires out there. And he said this tax system was not fair for employees, that his secretary pays more tax than he does. His secretary pays more tax than one of the richest men in the world. See, he's not saying poor me, right? He's not saying, oh, we got you, Trump, we got you because you don't pay taxes. Look, one of the reasons rather, that you go into business is to make a difference in the world, to help people. And the more people you help, the more value you bring to the marketplace, the more money you make. And the more jobs you create, the more housing that you provide, the less tax you pay. See, what Trump is doing is he simply was applying what the Clintons and Obama's tax reform did. He simply applied what Clintons and the Obamas put in place. And he just played the rules. See, think of taxes like the game of football. Yesterday there was a couple games that I caught a little pieces here and there. And one of the plays that I saw was, I think it was the Chargers, it might have been somebody else, but anyway, they did an onside kick, the ball spun, and then it was really cool at the end, it went out of bounds and it just spun on its top. I think that was New Orleans and Green Bay won. Green Bay's a great team. That's the team my dad got drafted with back in 1971, I believe it was. But I digress. Anyway, can you imagine in football or any other game that you simply tried to win the game, didn't know the rules? Imagine yesterday if when New Orleans kicked that ball, that onside kick, and they were all standing there. Imagine if one of the New Orleans players or even Green Bay picked up that football and ran back to their line across the goal. It wouldn't work, right? It'd be ridiculous. Or the batter gets up to base, up to home plate, swings, knocks it right down out into not very good sports, as you can tell, but he knocks it out there, they didn't catch it, and he runs to third base, turns around, runs back to first base because he didn't want to take the time to run to first, to second, to third, to home, because it was easier just to run to third base and run back to home base. We'd laugh at him. It'd be ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. But that is how most people apply the tax code to their life. This is just a game. It's another sport, and you need to understand the tax code in order to win at the game of tax. It's funny, I just got an update here. One of my good friends, Ronnie Haskins out of Colorado Springs, just uploaded something on Facebook. It was Understanding Section 179, which is part of the tax code on how to write off vehicles. So it's funny that just popped up. So let's go over some basics. When you're a business owner, just like Trump is, just like Warren Buffett is, just like myself, my business partner Ed Milet, and many other people that I know and that you know, Jeff Bezos. Because we take the largest amount of risks, because we employ people, because we take on debt, the government says that we get tax deductions. See, when you have kids, you get a tax deduction for your kids because the government says, hey, it's costly. You're contributing to our society. Therefore, you get a tax deduction. When you're a business owner, think of it as a kid. You get more deductions. So when I pay salaries for my employees, I get deductions. And those deductions make it to where I personally don't have to pay income tax. That is my reward for providing over 100 people a job. And they pay income tax into the machine. They spend money. That's my reward as the business owner. For taking that risk, I get to not pay as much in taxes. When you go out and you purchase real estate and you provide housing for tenants that maybe couldn't afford to buy a house. Here I am again. I'm in La Jolla, just north of San Diego. Real estate's extremely expensive. A lot of people can't afford to buy homes here. And because they can't afford to buy homes, they rent. And because they rent, the people that own those homes get tax deductions, and they get to depreciate the cost of the real estate. Because here's the facts. When you rent, things get worn down. See, when you own a house and you live there, generally speaking, you take a little bit better care of it, but still, be honest, stuff still gets worn down. Doesn't matter how well you take care of the carpet, it's going to get worn down. It needs to be repainted. It's going to need a new roof, the outside, new windows, landscaping, just regular wear and tear and maintenance. And as a homeowner, you don't get to deduct that each year, but you get to deduct it on your capital gain when you sell the property. When you are the landlord and you own it and you let someone else live there and you provide them housing, the government, as a thank you, so the government doesn't have to do it, they let you deduct it right then and there. And it's called depreciation. So let me break this down. You buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. You put it, your rent is, let's say your rent's $1,500 a month. Your mortgage is $1,200. That's a $300 profit. But the government knows you're going to eventually need to replace the water heater, the furnace, the roof, the paint, the windows, the carpet, the toilets. You're going to have to hire a plumber. You're going to have it winterized. You're going to have to do the yard work and all this stuff. So they let you write this off throughout the year, and then they let you depreciate it. And they let you depreciate it approximately over 25 years. So let's say you bought a $250,000, let's say a $300,000 house. The land's worth $50,000. The real estate, the house part's worth $250,000. You divide that by 25 years. That's a $10,000, right? So $300,000 minus the land, because you can't depreciate land, because land, it doesn't go down in value per se. It stays the same. You only can depreciate the building, what's on top of the land. So you buy it for $300,000. The land's worth $50,000. That leaves you $250,000 net. You divide that by 25 years. That leaves you with $10,000, which means you get roughly an $850 a month write-off for depreciation. So if your rent was $1,500, your mortgage was $1,200, you're making $300, but you're losing $800. How much did you make? According to your taxes, you lost $500 a month, or the equivalent of $6,000 a year. Now think about that. Did you really lose $6,000? According to your taxes, you did, because you had a $500 net loss every month due to depreciation. So at the end of the year, that $6,000 comes off of your W-2 income. So if you work for HP, you make $50,000 a year, you subtract out the $6,000 loss, which now you only pay taxes on what? $44,000. So you don't pay taxes on $6,000 that you made at HP because of the depreciation. But you lost. But did you really lose? Did you really lose $6,000? Or did that $300,000 go up in value? So where I live in Idaho, we've seen a 25% increase every single year. So if you bought that $300,000 home in Boise, Idaho, at the end of the year, you increase it by 25%. What is that? 30 times 25, that's $70,000. So did you lose $6,000 or did you make $70,000? Which is it? According to your tax returns, you lost $6,000. But according to your balance sheet, you made 7. Do you see how that works now? Do you see how the media can manipulate these stolen tax returns to say that Trump made hundreds of millions, only paid $750 in taxes, and really he's losing millions of dollars and he's broke? Do you see how they can manipulate that? Now, how can you do the same thing? Well, you can buy real estate. You can buy single family homes. You can depreciate it. You can start a business. You can go out on your own, become self-employed, and you can take the risk. And if you take the risk, you get the benefit of it, which is less taxes. Okay? Let me get a little bit deeper in how you can actually do better with this deduction. I'm going to move over here. We got a whole bunch of people that decided to show up. So I'm going to move up here so you can hear me a little bit better. So bear with me while I move up here. But that was just a simple example of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. But let's get a little bit more complicated, and that's on an apartment complex, because you know, I buy apartments. Corey and I now have about $95,000 of apartment complexes. I have 3 of them. I think where I'm up to like, I don't know, 35, 40 million, and Corey's at 95. All right, you see that building behind me right there? All right. If you went and bought that building, and I'm just going to make up a number right now. Let's say that building right there was, for sake of argument, let's say $200 million. Okay, so we bought that building back there for $200 million, and let's make it up and say that there's, I don't know, 400 residents in there. I don't know how many's in there, but let's just make it up. 400 residents, 200 million. So you're providing housing, and let's say it was a rental. It's not. There are rentals in there, but a lot of them are owned. Well, let me back that up. They're all owned individually, so it's not all rentals, but people own those condos and then they rent them out, okay? So let's say it was $200 million for that building. See it right there? Right there. $200 million provides housing for 400 people. Well, the government is going to let you write it off. And this is what Trump does. This is what I do. This is what my business partner Corey does. It's called cost segregation. And you can actually do this with single family homes. So see these buildings right here? You could do it that building. But in order to do cost seg, you got to hire an accounting firm, engineering firm. And they come out, it's about $100,000 to do cost segregation report. You could do it on that little house right there, that little building. You could do it on your 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but it's like I said, it's $100,000 to get started with it. So let's say you bought that building for $200 million and you did a cost seg report. Well, standard depreciation, the way it's set up, you could take that building, $200 million, subtract out the land. Remember, we got to subtract out the land. Let's see now. Let's just make it easier. Let's say it was $220 million and the land's worth $20 million. So the property's worth $200 million. You take that $200 million, you divide it by 20 years. That means you get a $10 million write-off every single year as the owner of that property. So let me back up a little bit. You bought that property right there for $220 million. The land's worth $20 million. You get to take the price of the building, divide it by 20 years. $200 million divided by 20 is $10 million a year. You get a $10 million deduction, a loss on your tax returns every year. You bought a $220 million building and you're losing $10 million from buying it. That's standard depreciation. Does that make sense? Trump is in real estate. I'm in real estate. Lots of people in real estate. That's the real estate game. That's how it works. Now, if you do cost segregation, this is where it gets really, really freaking cool. You take that building, you bought it for $220. You get the cost seg it. That's what we call it. It's cost segregation. You pay the $100,000 for the accounting term. The accounting firm, they come in and they walk through the whole building. They make note of every single light switch, every outlet, every hinge, every screw, every doorknob, every closet door, every light bulb, every light switch, every light fixture, the toilet seat, the toilet lid, the shower curtain, the shower faucets. They go through that entire building. They go through the entire building, piece by piece, and they put together a spreadsheet of every single screw, nail, faucet, everything through that building. And they come up with what's called a cost segregation report, okay? Let's say on that building, the cost segregation report was $100 million. $100 million. So you buy that building right there for $220 million. You get to deduct $200 million over a 20-year term. So that's a $10 million loss. But you get the cost seg, $100 million of it, the first day you buy it. Let that sink in. You buy this $220 million apartment. You get to depreciate $200 million, but you get to do $100 million of it the day you buy it. Now, how much did you put down? Let's say you put down $60 million. Wasn't even your money. You raised it. You syndicated it like Grant Cardone does, like I do. Use other people's money, you get it. If I bought that right now and I raised $60 million to buy it, I'd get $100 freaking million deduction today through cost segregation. Think about that. $100 million. And then I'd get another $10 million deduction every single year for the next 10 years for a total of $200 million. How much did I lose then on that building? I lost $200 million, which means I can make $200 million doing something else and not pay a dime in tax. So here's what Trump did. He bought some buildings. He made $100 million from The Apprentice. He bought a building like that, got a $100 million write-off, which means he doesn't pay any taxes on his $100 million from The Apprentice. That's how he ended up paying $750. Now, I didn't see his tax return. I'm just telling you what I know and how the tax code works, okay? And this is what I've done. I haven't paid taxes in over a decade. Now, I pay thousands and thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in property tax, in sales tax, in self-employment tax, employee tax, and all the other stuff. But me personally, I haven't paid personal income tax in a decade. Why? Because I buy real estate. Every year I buy about $10 million of apartment complexes or other real estate, and I get a $5 to $7 million write-off, which offsets $5 to $7 million of income, and I don't pay tax. It's that simple. It really is that simple. It's not any more complicated than that. Let's break it down a little bit here. I'm going to show you something. We're going to walk over here. I want to show you some other deductions. And by the way, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to be hosting a call with some of my partners. Ed Milet is one of them at 6 p.m. If you would like to get on that call so you can learn how to take it to the next level, how you can learn how to make more money, how you can pay less taxes, how you can have more time, how you can have more freedom, go to my website, rondylambert.com/more. That's rondylambert.com/more, MORE. You want more out of life. Go to that website, sign up. That'll give you the link to our Zoom call tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, so I'm going to switch this around. I think I can do it. Yep, here we go. All right, here we are. That red car right there, tax deduction, if you want it to be. That could be a tax deduction. That could be a tax deduction. I guarantee you these little bikes for Bird, huge tax deduction. They probably even got tax credits. That thing over there probably got tax credits because I think that's a battery operated one. Here's this little guy, tax deduction if you want it to be. But I want to show you is, see that van over there? That van would qualify for Section 179. That's code Section 179. That truck right there, you qualify for 179. Those minivans would definitely qualify for 179. Let's see what else we got. A GMC. Oh, right there, sorry. That GMC right there. That's definitely going to qualify for Section 179. What is Section 179? Section 179 is something I talk about on a regular basis. This has been around for a long time. What Section 179 does is not any vehicle. There's a few requirements with it, but for the most part, any vehicle that weighs over 6,000 pounds, GVWR, so it's rated, doesn't have to weigh over 6,000, it's got to be rated. 6,000 pounds or more. Most SUVs, by the way, car manufacturers figured this out a long time ago. And most SUVs do have a GWR rating of 6,000 pounds or more. Real quick, the Zoom link or the registration for Zoom link tomorrow to learn how to get more out of life, more money, more freedom, less taxes, is rondylambert.com/more. That's rondylambert.com/more. If somebody could type that into the comments, that'd be great. www.rondylambert.com/more. All right, there's another one. I'm going to show you this one. See that right there? That Chevy Suburban? That would qualify for Section 179. So here's how it works. The government wants you to go out and spend money because it's good for the economy for you to spend money. So how the Section 179 works is this. If it weighs over 6,000 pounds, or if the GVWR, gross vehicle weight ratio, is over 6,000 pounds, it qualifies for Section 179, which allows you to write off, you ready? Write off 100% of the purchase price the day you purchase it. Let me say that again. Thank you, Edward, for putting that in there. And Amanda, thanks for putting that in. Section 179 allows you to write off the purchase price the day you buy it, not how much money you spend. So for example, you buy that Chevy Suburban that's sitting over there. It's $80,000. You put nothing down because you've been following me. You got great credit. You finance it 0% down, 0% interest. It's $80,000. Mama needs a car that's safe for the kids. You're a business owner. You put some stickers on it, making it a business tax deduction. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a tax professional. You should seek out professional help with that. This is for illustration only, okay? But you buy the $80,000 Suburban, or the $80 million apartment complex, or the $200 million condo building. Or Section 179 applies to airplanes as well. Boats, heavy equipment, all kind of other things. But let's get back to the Chevy Suburban. You finance it, 0% down, 0% interest, and it's $80,000. You buy it today, September 28th. On September 28th, 2020, guess how much you just lost on your tax returns? You just lost $80,000 because it allows you to do rapid depreciation. Similar to cost segregation, you get a rapid depreciation of full purchase price. So if you put $0 down and you just bought it today, how much did you really lose? And don't give me cars lose 50% of value the moment you drive off the lot. Not that. How much did you really lose? You didn't lose anything. You got a brand new vehicle, a brand new, safe, reliable vehicle for your baby mama. Maybe for you, I don't know. But you got an $80,000 tax deduction today with $0 out of your pocket. And now you have an $80,000 loss for your business, which means that's $80,000 of income that you do not pay taxes on. You see how that works? Let's go a little bit further. This phone that I'm using right now, tax deduction. This cable that I'm using to keep my phone charged, tax deduction. This little guy right here that's not doing a very good job, tax deduction. Why? Because I use this equipment to make money. So I get to write it off. This hat, Fortress logo, tax deduction. This might be shocker to you, but this right here, Bang energy drink. This, my friend, is a tax deduction. Why? How in the hell can Bang energy drink be a tax deduction for me? Well, as you can see, I am not in my great home state of Idaho. Nope. I'm in La Jolla on a business trip. And because I'm on a business trip, all food, all dining, all drinks, 100% tax deductible. If I go out to dinner tonight, take Amanda out to a nice steakhouse, maybe take her to Georgia, spend $200-300 on a nice steak, tax deduction, because I guarantee we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about how we're going to make some more money, right? Building an empire. It's going to be tax deduction. This Bang's tax deduction. I go to Costco and buy me some treats for my dog, tax deduction. Do you see how this works? This is how business owners go. Seems like I've been talking about this for a while, and I guess I have. It's been a little over half hour. So here's the thing. If you're an employee, unfortunately, my friend, you pay the majority of the taxes in this world or in this country. Because the employers, the entrepreneurs, get the tax breaks because we provide the jobs. You get to pick up you're the mule of the tax system. That's essentially it, okay? Because that's how tax code works. You provide the jobs, you don't have to pay taxes. You provide the housing, you don't pay taxes. You go buy yourself a jet like Uncle G did a couple years ago, tax deduction. Do you think it was a coincidence that he bought that jet in December? Come on. You think that was a coincidence he bought it in December? Hell no. He raised all that money that year. He made millions, tens of millions of dollars. He didn't want to pay no taxes, so he bought a $50 million jet, put it through his Section 179 and some other stuff that qualifies for airplanes. He got a big-ass deduction, and he didn't have to pay taxes on his tens of millions of dollars. Here's another thing that he does. You know how he says, rent where you live, own what you rent? Do you really think he's a renter? Do you think that condo with those big-ass dogs and those cute little girls and a beautiful wife that he lives in, all that freedom, do you think he's truly a renter? That he's going to let someone say when he has to move, what he can do, what his rent is? No, come on. Like Brad Lee says, come on, man. Yeah, he's a renter, but guess who owns that condo? It's not hard to figure it out. It's a Wyoming LLC. Go check it out for yourself. It's not hard. Grant's not very smart. He doesn't hide his shit very well. He is not very smart at all. You just do a little search on the state of Wyoming's website, Secretary of State. You can figure out who owns that condo that Ed. I just saw Ed pop up. That Grant Cardone, where he lives. You can figure out who owns it. You figure out the writing on that, right? So he does rent where he lives and owns what he rents, right? But he also owns the LLC that owns the condo that he rents from. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But why would he do that? Why would you rent from your own LLC? Well, Can you write off your interest anymore? Not if it's over $750,000 loan. Can you write off the property tax? No. Can you write off the maintenance? No. Can you write off the HOA fees? No. But what if it's a rental property? Can you write off the interest? Yes. Can you depreciate it? Yes. Can you write off the HOAs? Yes. Can you write off the insurance? Yes. Can you write off the maintenance? Yes. Do you have to pay taxes on the amount of rental income you received? Yes. But remember, earlier when I talked about that $300,000 home, it's $300,000. Your mortgage is $1,200, your rent's $1,500, you're making $300 a month, but your depreciation is $800 a month, so your net loss is $500 a month, or a total loss of $6,000 a year. You see how that works? So Grant is losing money on his condo. Now, you can figure that out. Go to the state of Wyoming, do a little search on the address, and you'll find the house, and you'll see who owns that LLC. That's just an example. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, not saying it's legal by any means. I'm not saying it's legal. I'm just saying that's what he does. All right. So this is how Donald Trump has got away with paying little to no income taxes. $750, what, 11 years from some stolen tax returns that they got? A big shocker. It's not a big shocker. That's one of the advantages, if not one of the greatest advantages of buying real estate, is the tax advantages. Amateurs buy real estate for appreciation. Professionals buy real estate for the tax deductions, the cash flow, right? Tax deductions and cash flow. The appreciation, that's the very last thing you should buy real estate for. The leverage. Think about it. If you want to buy $300,000 of Apple stock, how much money you need? I need $300,000 to buy $300,000 of Apple stock. It's really that simple. But if I want to buy a $300,000 house, how much money do I need? Well, call it 60 grand, 20%. There's 90-10 loans out there right now, 10%. So let's call it 10%. I need 30 grand. I can buy a $300,000 asset for $30,000 and have someone else pay off the loan. And I get to write off the whole damn thing. If you want to learn more about how money works, how the rich get richer, and the middle class is getting squeezed out, and the poor just keep getting poorer. But if you want to learn how you can be one of the new rich, how you can make more money, have more freedom, have more time, have more of everything, get on my call tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific. Go to rondylambert.com, rondylambert.com/more. That's MORE. It's in the comments. rondylambert.com/more. Go RSVP. I'll reach out to you after the call. I'm hosting it 6 p.m. sharp. I will be there. I want you to be there if you want more in life. If you're happy with where you're at, dude, just stay where you're at. If you're fulfilled, stay there. If you make enough money that you get to do anything you want, anytime you want, with anyone you want, and you are just happy, stay there. But if you want more, go to my website, rondylambert.com/more, and learn about what we're looking for. Because I'm looking for more business partners. I'm looking for more people because I have more business than I can handle. And if you personally know me, you know that that's true. Like, I cannot keep up with the demand. One of the biggest complaints I get from people is, I left the voicemail, I called you and your phones were busy, I had to leave a voicemail. I don't have enough partners. I don't have enough people. I am hiring constantly. So if you want more in life, you want to learn how you can make more, have more freedom, have more time, go to my website, rondylambert.com. Call is tomorrow, 6 p.m. That's Tuesday, 6 p.m. No, the call's not going to be recorded. Yes, it'll be at a different time as well, but the one tomorrow is not going to be recorded. I can't send you the link. It is a live call, and I hope I see you there. Again, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, rondylambert.com/more. And if you haven't figured it out yet, Trump didn't do anything illegal. Warren Buffett didn't do anything illegal. Jeff Bezos didn't do anything illegal. Mark Zuckerberg didn't do anything illegal when it comes to tax returns as far as writing stuff off. It's just how the game works, my friend. Think about it. Can you imagine if entrepreneurs did not get tax advantages, if they go out and risk everything to provide jobs to people? If landlords didn't get any tax advantages to risk everything? Yeah, it's only $30,000, but you were risking your credit. You were risking your livelihood. You're risking your own house. Because if something goes wrong, if you live in California and your rental's in California, someone falls down on the sidewalk and they break a hip or they stub their toe, they could force you into bankruptcy. They're potentially risking everything to provide housing to people that can't afford to buy. Can you imagine if there's no tax advantages? People just wouldn't do it. Why? Why would they do it? They'd just go get a job. They'd work for the government. They'd just settle. Fortunately, the way our tax code is set up, it is fair, by the way. It's an extremely fair system. The reason it's fair is anybody can do it. Anybody can do it because the code applies to everybody, not just the rich. That's the thing is, that's what I like about our tax code. Anybody can do it. Anybody can start a business. Anybody can buy real estate. Doesn't matter if you have bad credit. Doesn't matter if you have money. There's ways to do it, right? There's ways if they really want to. So get on the call tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Gus, I see you're on here right now, buddy. You better be on that call tomorrow night, Gus. I'm calling you out, 6 p.m. Pacific. Thousands of people are going to hear me call you out, buddy. 6 p.m. Pacific, rondylambert.com/more. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.